Sabrina Carpenter is facing a lot of backlash right now for including X-rated themes in her Short and Sweet tour, which you should know is an all-ages show. This is not 18 plus, and despite that fact, she is simulating sex acts on stage, wearing lingerie, all the rest of it. And I just need to add this PSA. If you're a parent and your daughter happens to be a fan of Sabrina Carpenter, you should not take her to these concerts. Bad idea. There are a lot of things that go on in these sets every night that no child should witness. That's just off the table. But a lot of these parents don't know. They're just like, oh, Sabrina Carpenter, she's a former Disney child star. She was on Girl Meets World. I remember that. So we're just basically taking our daughter to a Hannah Montana concert, right?
Hannah Montana.
That's what they
Hannah
think.
Montana.
Like, oh, she's Disney. It's fine. Which is insane.
There's actually one of these that I don't want to show. Not, like the second angle of the simulated oral thing, I don't want to show.
Well, we're gonna have to.
Okay. Well,
It's fine for YouTube TOS. It's just NSFW. I'll say that. In one of her songs called Juno, she goes behind a curtain with a male actor and shows the silhouette of her having intercourse with that actor in front of a lot of the children in the audience. So let's take a look at that one first.
We could get copyrighted for the music on that. But. It's literally prepubescent screams.
Yeah. So there she spreads her legs in the shadow of the curtain, and that's how the scene goes.
Yeah. Yep.
There are a lot of things about the set she does which are pre-planned. It's a whole production. It's not just her singing songs. In this other clip, she mimics fellatio with a microphone on stage.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then in another clip, she is throwing her ass back at the children.
Yeah.
And she's obviously no Taylor Swift. She's no Taylor Swift is my point. Taylor Swift is far more kid friendly, and even that I would say is a little bit more on the adult side. I don't know if I would take my daughter to a Taylor Swift concert.
I don't. Maybe what this is like the art of the deal. The kid's like, she's like, the kid's like both of them. They're like, can I go to the Sabrina Carpenter concert? Because what they really want to go to is the Taylor Swift concert. So they're like, we'll bet high with the Sabrina Carpenter one. And I was like, oh my gosh, that is so unsightly. I can't let you go to that. So by comparison, the Taylor Swift concert looks looks like nothing.
Well, they're currently scapegoating Gen Z for finding this inappropriate. They're saying that the Puritans are shaming Sabrina Carpenter for being sex positive. Here were some of the takes from those Puritans. One said, I cannot be the only person that finds her doing this in front of an audience of children inappropriate. Another one said, I'm sorry, but am I the only one who's offended? Like, why is she being disgusting sexually in front of children? You guys are disgusting and weird for defending a literal weirdo. I am 17 and afraid of Sabrina Carpenter when she's performing. You guys need help.
Okay, that is the most, that is a little bit over the top.
Afraid. I mean, I'm sure if there's a 7-year-old in the audience, she might be afraid. Yeah. Definitely. But they're saying it's the Gen Z Puritans, which is a portmanteau of Puritan and teen, obviously. And that's the derogatory name that's been come up with for Gen Zers who are uncomfortable with public displays of sexuality.
Well, my point was that I think what happened here is I think Gen Z hit this perfect like car crash of both. We've told everybody to normalize everything, so they push back on it, and they're all socially awkward and don't socialize well, so they're not having sex anyways as they enter into adulthood, which got us to the place we are now. I don't find anything here to be distasteful other than the age, the not having an age restriction on on the audience. If this was
Yeah.
an 18 plus show, I wouldn't blink twice at it. I would say whatever. But, you know, it's on the parents to, if they're not going to do their job and say, like, maybe we should make this for adults only because they don't want to limit their, you know, financial viability for something like this, then I guess it's the job of the parents. I know that's shocking in today's day and age, but it's your job to be aware of what concerts your kids are want to go to.
It would only take like 5 minutes for you to go even listen to Sabrina Carpenter's songs, which have sexual lyrics.
Yeah.
Let alone looking at videos of this tour. So,
I can't relate because given that my hearing is so bad, I could barely understand lyrics growing up anyways.
and also all of these pop stars barely pronounce the words in their songs.
Is,
so you wouldn't be able to tell.
Is Tate McRae doing 18 plus shows, or is she doing
I would bet not,
Yeah.
actually. But Tate McRae is also very sexualized. Like in one of her music videos, she is actually just butt naked with blurs over her ass
I thought that
and
was
nipples.
hilarious.
Like she's even more so.
That video is
on the
hilarious.
extreme
I'm sorry,
end.
that video was freaking hilarious. I laughed.
It was pretty funny.
I laughed so hard at that video.
One person said, "It's really crazy how anytime a woman becomes famous, she has to be marketable to children." That is not what's happening right now.
I don't think anybody encourages like kids to go to Chris Brown concerts.
No, but that's not really the truth of what's happening here. If Sabrina Carpenter weren't a former Disney star, then this conversation wouldn't be happening. But she got her start on Disney in Girl Meets World. Most of her audience currently still comes from that era.
I mean, but they would be her age though, right? Because they grew up with her.
No, I'm her age. I did not grow up with her TV show. Kids younger than her grew up with her TV show.
Oh, I guess.
So these are teenagers, mostly high school aged girls, and that's the type of kid who needs their parents to buy the ticket for them, drive them there, probably stay with them throughout the entire thing, which must be really uncomfortable.
Awkward.
So that's her audience. It's not just that any woman receives backlash for this. It's her specifically because of the age of her fan base. And she's tried very hard to counteract that perception the same way that Miley Cyrus did when she broke out of her Disney era and had to do like the Bangers album. And
she is successfully sexualizing herself in a far more marketable way than JoJo Siwa.
Yeah, so in a Variety interview that Sabrina Carpenter gave back in August, she said she acknowledges that she's embraced a more mature persona in the years since she left Disney. "I'm 900 inappropriate jokes away from being a Disney actor, but people still see me that way. I'm always extremely flattered to be grouped in with other women and girls who I've idolized and looked up to who came from that, but I feel very distant from it." And she is trying to distance herself from the kid-friendly persona that she once had, but that doesn't change the fact that still most of your fans are kids, basically. And that means
Who went to
if you don't want that, make your shows 18 plus, but you won't sacrifice the money.
Wonder if the Pussycat Dolls did 18 plus shows, or if those were all ages
100%.
shows. Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
I mean, Spice Girls obviously not, but
yeah.
I just think it's when people talk about selling your soul in Hollywood, they're not actually usually talking about writing your name on a contract and handing it to the devil. They're talking about making moral compromises for profit. And that's what I think is happening in this example.
Okay.
That she actually knows the impact that this has on an audience of young girls and doesn't care to make her shows 18 plus because she would lose out on a lot of money for doing so.
I think, I could be wrong, but I tend to believe that the focus on morality just isn't as common as it used to be, perhaps. That I don't think it's necessary that she's even thinking about it. Like, maybe she is. We did see that one TikTok where it was like really awkward because it says my 30-year-old fans talking to my 12-year-old fans. But it was about like internet lingo.
But that was a Sabrina Carpenter video. So
Correct.
she is acknowledging right there, I have 12-year-old fans that go to my shows. She knows that.
I just think that amongst the general public, that type of topic of morality probably just doesn't come up that much.
if there's any truth to the idea that Gen Z has an overwrought reaction to public displays of sexuality, where they regard all sexuality with suspicion and disgust.
And we talk about how on TV shows now Gen Z increasingly is saying put less sex scenes in movies and television because Hollywood increasingly wants to put more, despite the fact that the audience is saying put less. Not movies, but television shows.
Right. If there is truth to that perception of Gen Z and their attitudes about sexuality, I think there is no one to blame but the adults in the world who were bombarding them with public displays of sexuality and pornography from the time that they even became sentient. So, of course, they would... I mean, I think, of course, it makes total sense that they would have the extreme opposite reaction and just have a distaste for all of it in response to that. And that deserves a fair hearing.
I do think maybe Nerdy Film Girl in the chat is right. She said she thinks Sabrina Carpenter is following the Christina Aguilera route, which is what she did, after her... she grew up and she did her albums that were more sexualized after her initial album. Plus, she just had Christina Aguilera at a show recently.
Yeah,
and they performed together. So that makes perfect sense to me. If she's looking for a role model in the industry, that's what it is. I don't think it's anything new. I think it could be easily solved by telling the parents, like, look, at the very least, be like, hey, this is going to make for a really awkward car trip home.
Yeah.
But maybe I'm wrong. I don't know.
But the thing is, the parents don't care.
No. There's like a Jeff Dye bit where he goes, I'm going to be a great dad. iPads are super cheap. Like, that's kind of the truth.
Literally. I mean, I think a lot of Gen Z is actually reacting against the parenting trends of millennials because they noticed all of these millennials who started using the internet in their late teens or early 20s weren't as crippled by it socially.
Yeah.
But they didn't understand for that exact reason the kind of consequences it would bear on their children who are Gen Alpha. They're handing iPads to their kids basically as soon as they're fresh out the womb. And it's going to have some devastating consequences for those children. So Gen Z is observing that. And I think that they're rejecting that trend and they don't want to raise their kids with unlimited internet access or really internet access at all.
What do you think those repercussions will be?
For Gen Alpha?
Yeah.
I mean, it's scary to think about, but these Gen Alpha kids are going to be graduating high school in the next handful of years. So they're going to be essentially entering the adult world before you know it. And their primary attachment figure was Cocomelon. Think about that.
I saw your tweet.
Think about that. I just saw this video today of toddlers and babies reacting like Pavlovian dogs to the theme track for Cocomelon. Yeah. And their parents filmed them doing this. And they're like, oh, it's so cute how they react.
You're like, that's not adorable.
That's not cute at all. It's scary. These kids are not ready for the world.
Meanwhile, I was watching this video where this dad filmed his son like doing like an American Ninja Warrior obstacle course that he built in his backyard. And
that's freaking awesome.
And all the comments were like, why would you make your kid learn how to do that? Like, how dare you not just let your kids sit around like a...
What?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. People were like, he probably went through a bunch of trauma to get this good at this.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
I hope those
hard work and sacrifice are now looked down upon.
Those people specifically should not become parents because that's obviously an insane take. But I just think the Puritans, as they're being called so insultingly, they deserve a fair hearing. Like, I really think that they're getting thrown under the bus and scapegoated for being easily scandalized, when in reality, they're having a totally reasonable response to the kind of upbringing that they had, being bombarded by this kind of imagery constantly. I think it's unfair that they were blamed for this.
All right.
Thanks for watching. Listen to full episodes of Pop Culture Crisis on Spotify.
Keep up with us on social media and make sure you subscribe and ring that bell so you never miss the show. Bye, guys.